Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? And tonight we're going to talk about how the heck can you be a content creator as an introvert. It's a puzzle. I will go ahead and confess I am an introvert. My guest also is an introvert as well, and I am so excited to have Suzan on. Hey, how you doing tonight? Hey, and
Hey!
Suzan is an entrepreneur who works with others as well to get them, help them.
Susan is
And
an
now I gotta turn
entrepreneur
some
who
audio off
works with
somewhere that's
others
playing
as well.
somewhere, so we must make it go away. Wherever you're playing, stop it. Okay, there we go. I had sound in the back there. All right. Um, Suzan coaches entrepreneurs to help them a lot. You'd be surprised how many people entrepreneurs are introverts. It's really kind of a shocking thing there that is true. But and so Suzan, she goes and coaches them. She also helps them with their content creation goals as well. If they want to do a recorded video and that type of thing. And so I've had several people tell me, "Hey, how the heck do you get the nerve up to get in front of the camera and stuff like that?" And so I thought this is great. Let's get Suzan on here and let's talk about this. And yeah, definitely exciting. So let's let's yeah, let's start with questions, right? All right. So here's my first question. Oops. Yep, that's it. So a lot of people ask me, how can I create engaging content without being on camera? Now, I'm not a big fan of faceless videos, but there's people that like, let me just do my voice on the video. And kind of what is your thought? I mean, definitely it's a good way to start. If you can't figure out any other way, what's your thoughts on this?
So first, before we begin, I just want to say thank you for having me here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's nice. This is obviously one of my favorite topics. Um, and this is one of the big things that stops people. How do I create engaging content without putting my face on camera? And there are a couple different pieces to this question. First, you know, you might not like the idea of doing just voiceover, um, but it depends on what they're selling. It depends on what they're offering. It depends on what they're trying to do. There's nothing wrong with showing the product. There's nothing wrong with creating a cartoon or doing something. You don't actually even have to do video. That's not even a requirement. When I work with my clients, we have to start with, what are your boundaries? What are you willing to do? It's not just who do you serve and how do you help them and what do you offer. It's also, who are you and what makes the most sense for you in order for you to show up authentically. And so part of the question is, part of the answer is, what other ways can we just do video, which is a great way to market yourself. Absolutely. Video is big. Obviously, here we are. But that's not the only requirement. You can, so I just lost my track. I heard a sound and I got distracted. Let me try that again. So there is the, how do we do video? How do you market yourself at all in a way that's authentic? If you choose to do video, sometimes the answer is, how can we do video with putting your face on camera? But sometimes the work is, what's stopping you from putting your face on camera? And you're going to see as we talk today that one of the things that's going to rise up is the idea of perfection. There are going to be concerns with putting yourself out there. There's going to be, sometimes we butt up against shame and embarrassment. People get concerned because they're getting older. They don't want to put that face out there. But, it's okay to be, not only is it okay to not be perfect, it's essential. Because, first of all, perfection is stopping you, and it's better to take action that's imperfect. But it's also more than so many other people are doing. So you have to ask, why not my face? What is it about, putting my face out there that's stopping me? I don't object, like you were suggesting, to the non-face oriented content. I think there's a lot of opportunity in there. I personally really enjoy a video of somebody pouring a cup of coffee. I think that that's a great way to go. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We got a lot of folks out there. I want to shout out and say hi to everybody because there was a bunch of folks. They were competing. to see who was going to be first. And definitely,
Mhm.
guys, if you have any questions at all, I definitely would love to see your question. I heard Stuart, hey, how you doing tonight? Stuart says first in chat. Uh, let's see. I saw, yeah, Pierre was actually had a comment before everybody joined. Laura said she's third. Happy Tuesday. Benny said second. It's okay. It's not a contest. I swear. I swear it's not a contest. Good day, friends. Hey, Lala. Stuart, hey. Hey, Stuart, Lala, Benny. I'm a Lalavert. That's what Dan says. He's a Lalavert. I'm an Ambivert. And so, uh, hey, Dan.
Do I keep freezing? I keep freezing, don't
Your
I?
camera,
I
yeah,
don't.
your camera's done a couple of freezes.
Hmm.
We'll fight through it. It'll all work out. I have faith. I have faith.
All
Lots of
right.
everybody's shouting out. Matt House in the house. Hey Matt.
Nice.
Everyone, this will be
Nice.
interesting for me. It said Lala says in the crafting community, majority are introverts and
Hmm.
thus mostly faceless
Yeah.
channels. Only their overhead cams. They're all very talented, but do not want to show their faces. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I,
Yeah.
I do think there are definitely some great faceless channels. I just,
Yeah.
um,
And I agree with you. It's nice if people can put their face out there. It makes it more personal. And okay, we're gonna have a cat walk by. Sorry, this is just part
it's
of my
okay.
show here. Is there we go.
That's how it
There she
happens.
goes.
Yeah.
And she's gone by. We just try not to let her touch the keyboard when she goes by. But that and a lot of the work I do is mindset based, and it usually starts with their mindset. Why won't you put your face out there? I have introverted clients who, when they start with me, are like, no video, I'm not putting my face out there. And over time, they start to change their mind about it. They start to try things out. And a lot of the time, the thing people are afraid of is what they think it is, not what it actually is, because they haven't tried it. And so as they work through the pieces, they find that they end up doing it over time
Yeah.
once they get their head around it.
Definitely true there. Yeah.
All right. The
Is
cat
the
the
cat
cat
in
is
here?
doing laps tonight.
It's all good. It's all good. If they want to be on camera, go for it. It's fine.
Well, her
We're a
tail is going to go by
we're
every
a
now and
family
then.
friendly
Right.
channel here. So, so this was a big one for me. What are some strategies for managing? As long as it doesn't start doing OnlyFans, we're okay. Um, what are some strategies for managing anxiety before recording videos?
So before I answer this, Roy, I'd love to know what your answer is to this because you're a self-described introvert, ambivert. Actually, there's already been a shout out about being an ambivert, which is
Yeah.
halfway between introvert and extrovert, and many of us are ambiverts. Um, but you've talked about having stress in this kind of a realm.
Yeah.
Before I answer it, what do you do? I'd love to know.
Well, there's one thing I think we should do. Let's set the table here. Let's define introvert for anybody that's kind of a little iffy on the definition. We may all
Mm-hmm.
have our own thought process. So let's maybe define introvert and ambivert and extrovert. And what do you
Okay.
think about that? Would you be so kind? And then I will definitely answer that question.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good idea. So introvert, extrovert, and ambivert are on a spectrum. And an introvert isn't what we tend to think of it as. People tend to think, oh, you're quiet, you must be an introvert. That's actually not at all what it is. It's about your energy. Do you have an easy flow of energy? You have a lot of energy. You get a lot of energy from the people that you're with, and you get a lot of energy from doing things that are active and outgoing. You're an extrovert. If your energy is a little bit more limited, if you find that going, like I went to a graduation party this weekend and then I went home and I was like, okay, I'm done. That's an introverted behavior where being with people and being outgoing drains your energy. And so being alone or having some downtime is more of what is going to be for an introvert. In fact, I asked a person once, what do you do in your downtime? And they were like, what do you mean downtime? And I was like, bam, right there. They're an extrovert because they don't even know what we mean by downtime. Whereas, like, if I need some downtime, I'm going to go walk by the river, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to listen to a podcast. That downtime helps an introvert recover their energy so that they can do the next thing. And so, energy management is a large part of being an introvert. An ambivert, who's halfway between, tends to have access to extroverted behaviors a little bit more readily, but they might have some introverted tendencies, like they lose energy, or they can only be extroverted for so long. And the thing that I really want to hand to you here is that every single one of us is different in how we show up as an introvert and how we show up as an ambivert. What it means for us is different. They've categorized a few different types, 4 different types of introverts, but really I think there's way more than that, because it's a mix and match depending on who we are and how we show up in the world. But Lala and a few others that have said this have it absolutely correct. People who are creative tend to be introverts. Coaches tend to be introverts. My clients tend to be creatives and coaches, or creative coaches. And there's a lot of introversion there. There are a lot of introverts who are video people as well that we see, like you, Roy. A lot of different people who are on video or doing podcasts, you would think might be more extroverted, but they're just able to turn their energy on. So,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And I just wanted to kind of make sure. So, and
Mhm.
so, what are some strategies for managing anxiety? And so, and I am a there's a perfectionist trapped inside a very flawed human um, on my side here. So I can definitely relate to that.
Mhm.
I used to be such a perfectionist, and I would set such a high standard for myself that I couldn't
Mhm.
possibly reach. But some of the strategies that I have managed is probably the biggest one is I decided to treat the camera as if I were talking to a friend.
Mhm.
Because the camera used to intimidate the heck out of me. They used to intimidate the heck out of me,
Yeah.
and so I would say, okay, I'm having a conversation with a friend, and I'm just going to
Mhm.
pretend I'm talking to them, and they have a problem I want to help them with, and I love helping people with problems. So I like trying to solve puzzles and that type of thing, and so that's one of the things that I do is that I very much say, okay, I'm talking to a friend, and
Mhm.
that's what I had to do because I didn't like looking at the camera. It's almost like I'm one of those people that I don't like looking people directly in the eye. I'm like I want to
Mhm.
just kind of and that energy level thing that you're talking about. I'm very much I can hard charge socially for a little bit, but I am
Mhm.
also the type that very quickly I can be alone in a very crowded room. I don't have any problem with that, and
Yeah.
I'm okay being at home and being a homebody and not going anywhere. Uh, and so I've really had to work through that. And the early videos that I started on this channel, I was just so nervous, just so
Yeah.
nervous. So yeah, I mean that's kind of my approach, and
Nice.
then it's benefited me because I have the ambivert part has come about for me because I've been in some opportunities where I had to speak in front of people, and I've been able to do it. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I couldn't have done it. I would have said, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
not happening. That is just not
Yeah.
happening." So
Yeah. And that kind of thing is actually less personality and more skill, to a point. You have to have the personality to be able to take it on. But if you've done it enough, it can really turn into a skill. The reason I'm an ambivert and not an introvert is because I spent most of my life thinking I was an extrovert and acting like an extrovert, because it was a survival move at that point. So that by the time I was able to settle into, you know what, I'm really more introverted than that, I had enough skill to be able to show up as an extrovert when I need to, because I'd spent so many years doing that. I've just now acknowledged that it exhausts me and it's not my happy place. You just said something. You said alone in a crowded room, but you said it with happiness. You were like, I'm happy to be alone in a crowded room. And I think there's an interesting question in there. If you're in a room with a bunch of other people and you feel alone, is that good or bad for you personally? And I can feel very disconnected in a crowded room. If I want to feel connected with the people in the room, I need to have very few people in the room, or I don't feel connected. It's too much. It's overwhelming. I can do a crowded room. I can show up. If I can put that on, that's not comfort. It's not comfort. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna find a very, very small group of people that I know somehow,
yep.
and I'm probably gonna be glued to them the whole night. I'm not gonna go mingle and visit the whole room.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to answer your question because we're kind of dancing around it here a little bit.
Yeah,
This idea of managing your anxiety before doing a video, before doing anything, honestly, I like your idea of thinking about it as, it's a friend, or the person on the other side of the camera is a friend. And so I'm going to have a one-on-one conversation. When I work with my clients who are introverts, we talk about two things. One is a very small community. We're not here to go viral. It'd be nice, I guess, but it can also be overwhelming. Focus on a small group of people. Focus on talking to them as individuals and think of them as your friends. We tend, especially if you're an introvert or an ambivert with strong introverted tendencies like me, we tend to have a circle of friends that's really close to us. It's a small group, and then kind of everyone else. So think of them as being the people that you've allowed into your tighter circle, and talk to them as that, and just be yourself. And then the people who that doesn't work for will find somebody else, and it will attract the people that it does resonate for, that it does work for. And that, I think, is a lot of the reason, you can dig into, why do we get anxious? What is it about that anxiety that's kind of stirring it up? What is driving the anxiety? If you can figure that out, you can address it.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. Let's check back out on some of the folks here. Um, let's see. Want to point out the Matt says he is great at not being perfect. So,
Excellent. As are we all.
Two of my favorite people. Love you both. Hey, John, you are
Hey.
awesome, man. I am so glad that you are doing better.
Yeah.
Oh my,
Yeah.
JV, how are you? 57th, but my position under review.
Sounds like he's doing okay. Sounds like
Yeah.
he's had a bit of an adventure lately.
Oh yes, definitely. Yep. La la. Yep. Absolutely feel that's wrong. Glad to see you again in my chat, my friend. Yep. 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 Glad to see you in the chat. Don't worry about my number because I'm Filipino on Filipino time, right? La la. It's producer Ventura. Are you moonlighting on me? John says he's just a viewer tonight, so absolutely, Dan. You can have Time Machine. We don't know because you're almost all of the Friends live streams. You and Marcus. I see. I launched my cooking show, Only Pans. There you go. So we're ready. I look at myself as
Stratactical.
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 Yeah, Stratactical. Only Pans. Yep. I have to work on that one. Let's see. It reminds me of my favorite Sesame Street Muppets, Ambivert and Ambivert. All right, we're gonna add that to the. That's gonna be one of my favorites
nice.
tonight. There we go. I like that one. So
That's nice.
yeah. Let's see. All right, let's get 2 questions in. Well, I mean, how can I? So I mean, what do you think about this approach? How can I script my videos to feel more prepared and reduce nervousness? Is that a really good coping strategy?
So the first question I've got is, are you going live or are you pre-recording?
Yeah.
And, if you're going live, you definitely don't want a script. You need to have bullet points. And if you're really nervous, you need to practice. And just, as you know, we just need to have conversations. But if you're pre-recording and you have a script, are you open to editing it? It depends. This is all about process, right? Sometimes when I do my videos, I do have a script and I am going line by line, and there's going to be a lot more editing and a lot more practicing. I'll give you a tip. I'll say something 4 times, and the first time I said it was right on, and I wasted too much time worrying about it. So in the end, video is about practice. And we've been having this conversation about being willing to be imperfect. And in that willingness to be imperfect, you get to practice. And it's in that practice that you find your processes, your strategies, your confidence, and what's the process, the system that's going to work for you. And it's also going to depend video by video. Some videos you're going to be like, oh, I know this one. I feel good about it. I feel passionate, and you're going to be able to kick it out. And then there's going to be another video where you're going to be like, I'm just struggling to say it. So maybe your strategy shifts a little bit for each one. It's going to be hard to say. But I find that more scripted makes it feel less authentic and more artificial. And at the same time, if you're not comfortable shooting from the hip, which most introverts are not, it's not that you can't go by the script, just you're going to have to make it sound like you're not scripted. That's going to be the challenge.
Yeah. I'm bullet points at best. I usually, I have done scripts, but I just don't like scripts. They're not natural for me. I have a teleprompter, but instead of using it as a teleprompter, I use it as a confidence monitor to make sure I look at the camera, because I have a habit of looking away. and so I want to make sure I look at the camera. So yeah, it's a challenge, you know.
Yeah, but it's practice. You know, you and I have both been doing this for years, and there's a lot to be said for that. We weren't like this out of the gate. We weren't comfortable out of the gate. And I'm still leaning hard into imperfect. This is a new set. I've been in my new apartment for 6 months, and I have not spent the time that I need to figure out what the heck this looks like. And I'm like looking at my set, and I'm like, oh my God, there are shadows. I don't know what I'm doing with my light. You know what? I'm showing up. I'm talking. I'm still building an audience. It's not about my set. It's about connection.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, because I like the whole conversation part about these kind of interview shows, episodes, because I enjoy having a guest on and we have conversations, and I think that's that connection there. And then the community, when they jump in, they ask questions or they comment on things we've said. There's so much connection there, and so and those folks in the chat are awesome. So I'm just going to say that.
No, and I agree with you. I've got a plan on my channel to eventually go live again. That there, you know, you can only do so much. You can only do so much, and I think especially if you're an introvert, you really have to choose what you're going to spend your time on. But this, especially if you like talking to people who you know and you like having more intimate and deep conversations, and you're thinking about video, live is a great place to go, because you can just have a conversation, and then you have to put that script down. You cannot do something like this scripted. If you really feel locked down to a script, I would talk to a person about going to a podcast instead, and still practicing on sounding like you're not reading. That's the challenge if you really feel the need to do a script.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Ta-da! What question we have next? All right, we did that one. All right. This is a tough one. What are effective ways to handle negative comments or criticism?
Yeah. So it depends on where you're hearing them, right? I think that we're probably assuming, are we assuming video for most of this conversation today?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty much assuming video, because a lot of the folks that have reached out to me and said, you know, how do you get started with YouTube and that type of thing? And that's really my focus, is helping people hit that record button when they're nervous about it. And I said, just get your cell phone and do it. You can do this.
Yeah. I really enjoy it when somebody gets a negative comment and everybody else is like, you made it, dude. You made it. You got your negative comment. You know, if you're worth somebody being that way about, you know, you've made some inroads. If they've got the time and the energy to be negative, they're not your people. They're not your people. They're not why you're here. We get to make these decisions for ourselves. What are you going to do with trolls? What are you going to do with the negative comments? We need to each make our own decisions. But if they're making it negative for me, they're also making it negative for my viewers. And that's not okay. There's no room for that here. But I'm very protective of my audience. I'm very protective of the introverts that have dared to show up. So for me, if they've got negative comments, I'm like, I boot them pretty quickly. Everybody gets to make that decision for themselves, how they want to be about that. But they're not your people. There are so many thousands, millions, billions of people in the world. And so many more need what you offer. The thing to let, you know, that's where you learn how to have a tough skin in that you let it roll it off, but you also get rid of them because you don't have to put up with that. You get to choose. Those are about boundaries. You get to choose what you're going to put up with. And you have the choice to say, no, that's not okay here. That's why you have, people moderating, right? The bigger you get, the more important that is to manage the environment to keep it safe for the people who are there for what you offer. I did have somebody say, so I've got a pair of red glasses that I often wear. And I had somebody say during a video, to the point where I remember this, somebody was like, why are you wearing those red glasses? They look terrible. And I'm like, they look awesome. What's your problem? It's that person, it's clearly about them. And we have the ability to delete these kinds of comments. We have the ability to send those people on their way and protect our space, our own boundaries, and our own audience.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do some more shout outs here. Dan says, to be honest for a moment, I hate how we have to label our differences as human beings. I agree. I agree. As a human race, somebody was asking over in Twitter, what's the biggest problem with mankind? And I said, mankind. It's the biggest problem with mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Enda, how you doing? Welcome. Totally agree with Dan. Yep, the honest accomplice. Yep. Hey, Enda, it's always a mystery where Enda's coming from. Sometimes in Asia, sometimes in Europe. No matter what, he's here for us. Yes. He's on Team Replay when he's not here for us. So, Enda, I really do appreciate it. You're just so awesome. The camera makes the best empty chair exercise. I've done that before on my shows. Now, what's an empty chair exercise? Is that something you're familiar with? John, we're going to need more info.
Yeah, we need more information on what he's trying to say. I think, I'm not sure.
Jackie Ann, welcome. Honest accomplice I see as a blessing. If we have words to describe our different experiences, we can more easily have empathy for people who are not like us in that respect.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that for a second. There's the good and the bad. One of the things in terms of the negative is putting ourselves in buckets like I am an introvert, I am an extrovert. Putting ourselves in a bucket can absolutely limit us. And that's where a lot of the mindset challenges come from. I'm an introvert, therefore. No, you're an introvert and so I agree that when we put ourselves in buckets, it can create distance and it can create personal challenges for ourselves as well. At the same time, when we understand ourselves, if we can not so much bucket ourselves as just understand our complexities, it helps us show up better. It helps us understand what we're working with. It gives us ways to think about what our challenges are so that we don't get down on ourselves because something is harder, so that we understand that we're different, but it's okay that we're different. That's why I like to think about introvert, extrovert, and ambivert as being a spectrum. And I like the fact that introvert is different for every single one of us. It's not you're an introvert, therefore. It's, oh, you're an introvert. What does that mean for you? Mm-hmm. And when we can hold it a little bit more loosely, it gives us something that we can work with.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like it just reminds me of the golden rule and the platinum rule. So I know the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, but the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Mm-hmm. And that is my goal. I want to do for others what they would want done, as opposed to me deciding what they want done. Because that's the problem we often have, is that we decide what others need and we make a decision and it turns out, well, that's not what they want at all. Yep. It's kind of like bad Christmas shopping, but anyway.
Yeah. More asking, more listening.
Yeah,
more action based on knowledge rather than guessing.
Yeah. All right, we got to get through some questions here. Well, and the other thing, I want one more comment about this. For me, one of the things I do for my live streams is I do have a word filter list that I use. It's very extensive, that blocks a lot of stuff that I got from Mr. Moderator. If anybody knows Paul Duncan, he sells a great word list. And then the other part you mentioned is moderators. And then the other part is don't feed the trolls. Do not respond to them.
Yeah.
Do not
It's not
respond to them.
necessary.
It's
Mhm.
as you said, they're just taking away your energy. You don't need that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
They aren't your people. Focus on your people, worry about your people. Yeah.
yeah. How can I balance my energy levels while consistently creating content?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a big one. Um, First, you need to know your energy levels. You need to understand what drains you. You need to understand where your recovery is, what you can do, and then plan accordingly. So, if I know that I'm going to sit down and record a series of videos, so I'm going to do 3 or 4 videos in a run, I'm going to make sure I go into it rested, and I'm going to make sure that I've got something interesting, fun, or at least quiet planned on the other side. So I'm bookending it with energy support so that I can put everything there. I would not sit down, record 4 videos, and then work with a client. That's like going to be a total disservice to my client. So it's about being strategic and understanding yourself. This is where, when you know that you're an introvert and you understand what type of introvert you are, what your unique idiosyncrasies as an introvert are, you can leverage that information and use it to help you show up as your best self when you need to. And then be willing to take the downtime. It's not selfish, it's necessary. It's not wrong, it's what you need. And instead of being like, oh, I'm sorry, it'd be like, this is what I need. Feeling, like you were talking about, alone in a room, I'm in a room feeling alone, and I'm okay with that. Embracing who you are and just leaning into it and understanding it better is what's going to help you do this well.
Yeah, it took forever for me to embrace the awkward human being that I am. But I accept that now. It took a long time. It really did for
Yeah.
me to get to the point where I was comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And I
And it
wish
takes
that,
most people that.
yeah,
It takes most people that. I have to tell you this, Roy.
yeah.
So I ride a motorcycle. I actually haven't ridden it in a few years, but I used to ride it a lot. And when I first started riding a motorcycle, I hated being in my helmet for long periods of time because I was spending, in my words, I was spending too much time in my head because there was nobody else there to talk to. And this was before I had really settled into who I am as an ambivert with a very strong introverted side. And I remember when I got to a place where it was okay to be in my helmet in the long time. And honestly, the answer was therapy. But I got to a place where it became a peaceful place to be in my head. And that's where we have to kind of come to, is accepting it, dealing with any demons that we have, any ghosts, any problems that we have, but also just being like, this is who I am. How do I just be the best version of that I can?
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But yeah, I'm with you. I just wish it happened a lot earlier for me. You know,
Mhm.
it's amazing the
I
things that
feel the
happen.
same way, honestly.
Let's see. Uh, hang on, let's get through. Yep. Jackie, labels are used as bias, and bias stunts our growth. Well, that's a true statement. That is true. But the hope is, just as Jackie said, I really hope that people take it as a way to build empathy toward others, and not that it's. Let's think of it. I think of it like a trigger. So, okay, I know that Joe Schmo is an introvert, and then the right thing for me to do is to respect that and behave in a way that doesn't make them feel uncomfortable. And so I do think that those labels kind of help us if we use those in a positive light. I mean, that's just what I think about it. Susan, what's kind of your thought process?
The same. They can absolutely be used in a bias, in a negative way. We definitely live. I'm speaking from a marketing perspective. That's where my world is, where my expertise is. And, marketing is absolutely biased towards extroverts. That doesn't mean that introverts don't have a place. It's just that we have to create it. And I feel like that relates in that we can put ourselves in buckets. We can put each other in buckets. It depends. Actually, let me even back up a little bit. It depends on how we treat it. I think it can be a bias. It can be negative, and we can be like, oh, you're an extrovert, therefore, you're an introvert, therefore. or we can be open to the different ways that people are. And I just think it depends on how it's treated. And the truth is that every single one of us is different, not just from an introvert extrovert perspective, but in general. We're just different. And the more we can accept that different isn't bad, that different is interesting, that different, approach it from a place of curiosity, the happier a place it'll be, the happier we will be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's good. It's good. Stuart, I bumped up my gain a little bit. Give me a shout out. Let me know if I've gotten better. Marcus, who should be sleeping now.
Hey,
Hey friends, I'm lurking now. Time.
Marcus.
Gretchen, always an interesting topic. Yes, it definitely is. Bullet points all the way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bullet points and talking to a triceratops stuffed animal who swears a lot.
He has one of those in his studio. Yes, he does.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I forgot. I have seen your episodes where you had the triceratops. Yep, I do recall that. Rex, yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
I love how everyone knows what we're talking about. That's great.
Yep. I don't mind trolls, but if the negative comment is sincerely made to help me get better, that's fine. I guess discernment of which ones are really meant to help and which ones are otherwise.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lala. And honestly, if a person has any grace, that's not where they're going to tell you, right? That's where, in my opinion, let people tell you who they are and then believe them. And if they are willing to be negative in public like that, they're telling you who they are. And you get to choose your boundaries. You get to set your boundaries. Nobody has a right to take you down, especially in public.
Yeah. Matt says, someone dropped a one-word negative comment on one of my shorts. Someone else immediately responded, be nice, and that was cool.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That is nice.
A good internet is self-regulating.
Yep.
Discernment comes with practice and in time. Yes. And the other thing is, you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know where these people are coming from with the negative comments. So don't take it so serious. Matt says, I don't label or define myself. I let other people figure out that stuff out. I just do what I want. So, empty chair exercise, where you are pretending you are talking to one specific person.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
That sounds like an answer to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what's called JV. I often do this, but I don't know this is how it's.
And the person you're talking to should be, you've heard the term ideal client, ideal customer, the ideal person for what you're offering.
Avatar.
If you've got a real person in your audience that is that person, speak to them or make it feel like you're speaking to them. Or just, I'm assuming that the people I'm talking to are introverts and ambiverts who struggle with their marketing because they're introverts and ambiverts, right? Yeah. Who is that person for you?
So what kind of motorcycle?
I have a BMW 650 GS.
Wow. Okay.
It's actually an 800 motor. They detuned it to make it a 650. I don't know why. I like it a lot, but it's also for sale.
You're getting out of the motorcycle business, or is it time to just get another one?
I haven't ridden it in 3 years. I tend to ride my bicycle. So.
Well, now you can get an electric bike. It's almost as fast, but not near as loud. So.
Not nearly as fast. Not even close.
Almost.
No, I do like my motorcycle. I miss it.
Harley Iron 883. Benny, is that a motorcycle that you have, sir? That sounds good. Hey, let's see how to Marcus. Yeah, it sounds great. Thanks, Stuart. I do have a habit of letting my audio get a little low. I just got a firmware update on the road. I stretched it. Anyway, let's fix the comment. Hang on. I hate when I do that. Move the mouse and then things get all crazy. But anyway, I got a firmware update on the Streamer X this week, and so hopefully it's better now. Anyway, it's been behaving. So let's go back to our questions. Let's see here. Did I go back a few? Yeah, I want to talk about this. So how can I balance my energy levels while consistently creating content? I want to tell you about it. So like I went to Ecamm Creator Camp last year, and there's so many people in that room that I am such a fan of. Mm-hmm. And I very much had a deer in the headlights kind of feeling. And after talking to so many people, by 8 o'clock, I was done. I was done. It lasted till 10 or later, but 8 o'clock, I was done. I just didn't have any more energy left to
Mhm.
give. It
Yeah.
wasn't even that I was tired. It was just that mentally I
Yeah.
wasn't in a place to have a conversation. So, but, and I've had that happen on multiple times. I'll come home from an event and just veg out on the couch because I'm done. I'm just
Yeah.
done mentally. So, how can we balance out our energy levels while consistently creating content?
So, we talked a little bit already about like our energy levels, and I talked about bookending it with downtime when you're going to have a lot to do. So, like you're saying, you go to an event or something like that, and you can give yourself the space to recover afterwards. But the word I actually want to pull out of that is that word consistent. Because consistency, everyone assumes, okay, I'm going to do this every single week or every single day. I had a nutritionist tell me once that when it came to eating well, 90% is considered consistent. And I have brought that over into my world. If I am consistent most of the time, if I show up most of the time, then that's consistent enough. It gives me the room to do and be where I need to be. For example, I have an email that I send that is known as kind of weekly ish, right? I have a regular ish email that I send, and that allows me the room to be like, you know what, this week it didn't work, but that's okay. I'll be back next week. And my audience just knows that. And so Roy, I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Having said all that, the thing went till 10. By 8, you were done.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about that? What are you trying to say about that?
Well, I mean, it's when the energy levels drop like that, you feel like, I mean, it was a huge networking opportunity, meeting people that, and so I kind of felt like I'd let myself down because I had just, but my energy was gone and
Yeah.
it just wasn't possible. So I literally just kind of went off on my own and just kind of hung out till it was time to get back to the hotel and everything.
Yeah. So
Because,
you did what you needed.
yeah.
You did what you needed. And I would want to look at your expectations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your expectation, okay, you said there are a lot of networking opportunities.
Right.
What is your expectation for yourself in that space?
Well, not knowing how that event, the not knowing what was going to happen that first day, I wasn't mentally prepared, so I didn't have a plan. I
Mhm.
didn't know what to expect, so that was a
Yeah.
very eye opening. Like, oh man, just getting to meet all these people that
Yeah.
I've known from the eCamp community. That was just amazing, and
Yeah.
um, and luckily I got some opportunities to spend time with some of them. But I kind of had to pick and choose because I also knew I didn't have enough energy to keep that going
Mhm.
either.
There
Um,
it is right there. That's
and
exactly it. Yeah,
yeah,
is pick and choose where do you want to spend, make some choices, but also,
mm,
and to your point, we didn't know what we were dealing with going in.
yeah,
And that was amping the stress up because we didn't know what was
yeah,
going on and what to expect. And we didn't all know exactly who was going to be there. And we just didn't know. Um, so we've got to set realistic expectations for ourselves.
yeah,
And in a situation like that, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. So, in that kind of a situation for me, I'm like, okay, I want to talk to 3 people and one of them is somebody that I'm going to really screw up my courage and go and approach. And the other 2 people are going to be like, I feel like they're approachable. And now I feel like I've extended myself to enough of a place. If I've done those things, anything else is cake.
yeah,
So if I get to a place where I'm like, okay, I can't do this, well, did I check off the things that were okay that I wanted to do? I did. I'm good to go. But the other piece there is when you're in a situation like that, where you've got so much opportunity, so many networking opportunities, that's just the beginning of the conversation,
mm,
right? Networking isn't a one and done. It's a start a conversation that you can have or continue in another place,
yeah,
right? The joy of something like Creator Camp is that it's 3 days long. And so, and so there's day 1, day 2, day 3, other opportunities to catch up with different people. And so giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves, throwing ourselves a bone that we can only do so much, and just being
Yeah.
in the room is a lot unto itself.
Yeah. And there was a lot of extroverts in that room, and I don't do well with
Yep.
extroverts. So
Yeah, I find them intimidating. Yeah.
yeah, I do too. So yeah.
Can I just say though, from my experience, and I want to speak, it's kind of going back to the beginning when I talked about introversion is about
Mm,
energy. It is not that introverts are quiet. It is that ambiverts are going to, extroverts are going to speak a lot more. They're going to be louder. There's going to be just a higher pitch of energy. But I will run so I've got a group coaching program that's all introverts, and they are just chatty, right?
mm,
And because they know each other, because they're comfortable, because they've
mm,
gotten to know each other in a small space. There's only a few of them. They've become friends, and so it's a safe space for them to be that way. But I've also run master classes where it's all introverts, probably introverts and ambiverts, and that chat is just going. And I've had people be like, "How is that introverts? That chat was moving." And I'm like, "Well, it's not that they are quiet. It's not that they don't have anything to say. It's that they don't feel that they have the space to say it, and that nobody's listening." And that's part of the challenge when it comes to introverts and extroverts being in the same room is extroverts are so busy filling the space, and introverts often don't feel that they have someplace to slide into, and they're not comfortable taking space. We need to give them space. They respond differently. I know that there's a conversation going on here about I wish we didn't throw ourselves into buckets, but actually the
mm.
way the brain works and the way the nervous system works is literally different for introverts and extroverts. And so we respond differently in places, and our chemical makeup is slightly different based on how we respond to the data that's coming in, to the signals that we're responding to. And so there's actually some grace that you can give to an introvert in the room by creating space for them, allowing them to take space up by giving it to them and asking just something as simple as, do you have anything that you'd like to add? And making that part of the routine. That's how I work with my introverted clients. And it's amazing to me how much they have to say. And I say it's amazing to me because I, just like everyone else, have this assumption that introvert is quiet. No, introvert isn't quiet. Introvert is a little bit less aggressive about taking up space. An introvert just needs a place where they're comfortable. Introverts tend to have a smaller group of friends, so we're more comfortable when we're in a small group. It's just the way we're designed.
Yeah.
We were built that way.
Yeah, I agree. Um, let's just check on some more folks here. Let's see. Let's see. Um, hang on. A lot of stuff. All right, good. Yeah. Moment of honesty. A lot of times on venture, that empty chair represented my mom, especially on the
Oh,
codependency and obesity. She
oh,
passed in January 2023.
I'm so sorry, John. Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom passed around the same time.
looking at Susan, you wouldn't know she likes motorcycles, and she is a mean driver. She could be an F1 driver for sure. So
Yeah, I got Lala and Marcus into Boston, and Boston traffic. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's good. Uh, Matt says, when I retire, I'll buy a Harley Fat
Harley
Boy.
Fat Boy.
Vroom vroom. Yep.
That's a big
Uh,
motorcycle.
just goes to show you really cannot judge people by simply what we see. A person is much more than what we see on the outside.
Yeah,
I believe really everyone is awesome, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
with rare exception, that's been my experience. There's a lot of
yeah.
awesome people in this world. Being says, when I retire, I'm trading in 883 and buying a breakout.
I don't know what a breakout is,
I don't know
but
what a
I'm not
breakout
familiar
is.
with the Harleys. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I always ride the European bikes and
See, I
yeah.
love my iron, but a BMW, they have so much more power from the trot. I had a BMW blast me from the lights. I just sat back and put my tail
Yeah.
between my legs.
Yeah, it's a nice bike. It's hard to it's hard to decide to sell it. It's taken me 3 years to be like, fine, sell it, fine.
And John says, "Thank you, Susan." It also says he would love a Harley or BMW trike. So,
Trike.
what
Yeah.
traffic, Susan? I never felt there was one. Susan navigated that traffic with such amazing skill. So, yeah.
Yeah, my job is to keep the group calm, everybody in the car calm while I'm like,
Yeah. I got a couple more questions, but I wanted I wanted to show everybody where they can go find you. First of all, and I do have links in the description, so definitely go look for Susan if you are needing somebody to help, because she is amazing at empowering introverted business owners and content creators who have uh, problems kind of overcoming their introvertness. Not that we ever overcome it, but
manage it.
manage it would be the right word. You never ever
Yeah.
stop being that. Also, Susan's YouTube channel. She has a lot of great videos here talking about introvertness, and then she does have a newsletter as well, which I am a subscriber to and get every week. And sometimes I'll reply back and say, "Oh, hey Susan, that was a great point. I love that." So, yeah,
Yep.
I like that, and definitely want to go look. She has a quiet marketing handbook. So if you guys, the entrepreneurs in our group here, so you definitely want to reach out and definitely go visit her channel. So I want to make sure you found out how awesome she is, because I think she's awesome. And so just wanted to bring that up.
I think you're awesome too.
I have my moments. I try. Let's see. What types of content work well for introverts?
Awesome. I love this question because you cannot put that in a bucket. It depends on the introvert. And the thing that I do different with my clients versus standard marketing, right? Standard marketing is, what is your business? What do you offer? Who do you help? How do those come together? And I always ask one more question. And who are you? And it depends. Where is your strength? I feel like the core of it is, what is your preferred communication style? Are you a talker? Are you a writer? Do you need to think deeply before it can even come out of you? How do words come out of you is a great place to go. I'm a verbal processor. I often don't know what I'm going to say until I've said it. And then I'm like, oh, that's what I was thinking. Whereas some of my clients really need to write out their content. In fact, they communicate really well with me by email, and then we get into a meeting, but we already know what we're going to talk about. So what is your best way of communicating? If you are a writer, then maybe blogging makes sense. If you are a talker, then you can look at podcasts, you can look at video. You could do both, but understand which way does content come out of your head first, right? If you are a writer first, then you can write out your content, do a blog, and then turn it into something audio or video. And vice versa. I tend to do video and then move it into blogging because I speak first and then my content kind of comes together from that. Interestingly, I might speak through something, but then when I write it, after I've spoken to it, I write it and it's actually better written. It doesn't kick out of my head as easily that way. So it depends on who you are.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to find that out. So I don't know. Who I am.
I think that, I mean, clearly you speak very comfortably. You can have this as a conversation. This is a great way for you to create content. But yes, video is a big deal when it comes to marketing, but it's not mandatory. And I feel like people are like, I have to and I should. There is no should in marketing. There is no should in how we're connecting with the world. It's just important that you connect. And if you can lean into your natural strengths, it's going to be an easier journey for you.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's check out some more here in the chat here. I see some new folks just showed up. Let's see. I had 20 different road bikes, never a Harley. Wow. Cool, John.
Yeah, I've never had a Harley either. So I started out with a Kawasaki and then moved to BMW from there. So
yeah, I had a mini bike and I almost bought a motorcycle, but so I didn't do it. Let's see. Kidding aside, great mindset reminders today, Susan and Roy. Thanks for talking about this very relevant topic. Yep. And hi, John. Coffee Talking Tech. Indeed, John used to be into bikes. Big time. Great to see you in the chat, John. Yep, hope all is well. Definitely. Working a ton. About to go to sleep, but was watching a bit. Nice seeing you, Roy and Lala. Hey, thanks, man, for coming by. Thank you. Awesome. Let's. I know I really should fix that button. It keeps going to the first question. Anyway, that's all right.
Yeah, that's right. Just make your way through.
How can I engage in my audience without feeling overwhelmed by social interaction? That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It depends again on how what we're using to communicate, right? If you're in something like YouTube, like you're doing a live like this, well, this is when you engage, right? So you're live. You kind of have to deal with it as it's happening. But I think, tend to assume that somebody reached out to me, I have to respond right away. And that's not always true. We can respond in windows of time, right? If I know for sure that I'm at my most fresh in the morning and that if it's going to be difficult to respond to people, that's a great time for me to do it. But then I can shut it down, do other things, then come back. There isn't, what is the window of time during which you have to respond is what I'd be asking about. If you're in a social interaction, again, where it's live like this, or you're networking like a creator camp, you've just got to manage your energy outside of it. So, at creator camp, that's a great place where that's just a great example because you got 3 days of people, taking the time to go out for a walk or making sure that during the less important times, you're surrounding yourself with people who are most comfortable with. I was at creator camp and it's really easy for me to get overwhelmed. But every time you saw me, Marcus was probably nearby. Because for some reason, Marcus just kind of calmed me down. And so I was like, okay, Marcus is my buddy this weekend. And it just worked out really well. And he kept me calm. I don't know. So What is the thing that calms you down? When it comes to social interactions, what do we mean by social interactions? When people respond to me on Instagram or when people respond to me by email, depending on what they're responding about, doing it in windows of time when I can think about it. Don't be like, oops, somebody's responding, I've got to get back. Because now you're not focusing, right? What's the window of time during which you're willing to do that?
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Roy? What's your answer to this question?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I always joke I'm antisocial on social media. It's, and I am terrible at self-promotion. I have zero comfort level there at all with that, but I know that it's a part of the whole process. And so I try to treat it like tasks that have to be accomplished as opposed to, and I don't beat myself up if I don't get them done. That's the other part, extending yourself grace when you do the best you can. And I would much rather have a great show for the folks that show rather than they go out and promote it out and get a bunch of people there and it wind up not being a great show because I put the energy in the wrong place.
Yes. Choose where you put your energy. 100%. I like that a lot. I agree.
So that's my process.
Yeah. And set expectations for yourself, right? What am I going to do? I'd rather have the right people show up and focus on a quality show. Mm-hmm. Is you setting your expectations, setting your focus, helping you when you decide what's important, everything else falls into place behind that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and there's only so many hours in a day, it turns out. As Florence, who was here earlier, told me, there's only 1,440 minutes in a day. That's all you get. Nobody gets more. Nobody gets less. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, there's that much time, and I've got that much energy. So what am I going to do with this much energy?
Yeah. And part of that energy, I need to sleep. So.
Yeah.
How can I collaborate with other creators in a way that feels comfortable?
Roy, you do a lot of collaboration. I want to know your answer before I suggest my ideas.
Well, I establish a comfort level with the people that I ask to be on the show most of the time. Sometimes I will go out and reach out for a dream guest that somebody is like, this person will not be on my show. They won't agree to be on my show, but I will go ahead and reach out for people. But I would rather bring on friends who just happen to be experts in something and it be a much more laid back show than
Yeah.
to bring somebody on that's a complete stranger who maybe the industry says is an expert on something. I'm not going to have a comfort level with them that I do with somebody like yourself, and because you're someone I know, and I know multiple people, and we've met on different occasions in person and online. We've done several things together, so that is just so much better, and I think that comfort is better for the community because that authenticity comes out. There's a relaxed nature. We can have a good time, laugh about some stuff, have some inside jokes because we've something's happened previous that we know about together and that type of thing. And so I think that's a much better show and people get more out of it. But if I bring on somebody that's, unless they just have this amazing power to just turn the light bulb on and be amazing like all the time, it's just too much. So but I have a hard time reaching out to people to ask them to be on the show, but I love having amazing guests like yourself on. And so I am like, you got to do this, Roy. You got to send that email. You got to ask them if they'll be on the show, and you need to give options on the date. And I just have to force myself to do it because I don't like to make the phone calls. I don't like to make the initial email. Those are things I'm just a nervous wreck about. Usually my anxiety is a little high on that. And so, but I push
What is
through.
it, if you don't mind me asking, what is it you're worried will happen?
I don't know. That's a fair question. I know that thunder and lightning will come down and get me if I ask somebody to be on my show. That's what's going to happen. Lightning will hit me.
Yeah.
And a clap of thunder will just be really loud. And that's what's going to happen. That's got to be it. So
The thing I'd like to
go ahead,
the
please.
thing I'd like to share. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. The thing I'd like to share here is this: we have the ability to set the tone, the energy, the feeling of the room, and especially in your case where you're the host and you're bringing them in, when you make it extremely comfortable. You make it very easy for me to come in and to be here. You've got the confidence, you've got the setup, you've got some fun going on at the same time. So there's a nice balance. You are setting the tone. And so you get to set the tone no matter who you're talking to and no matter where you're talking, whether it's here on video or in that email you're sending. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're sending an email to somebody that's a little bit more intimidating to invite. One of the things you can lean on is you've got a template of your ask because you've asked so many people. It's not like you're writing it from scratch. So you can grab that template, buff it up a little bit to fit the situation, and then send, but you also are setting the tone in how you've presented it. And you do that here. You've got such confidence. And every single one of us has that ability to create the tone and the feeling of the space. And I think that we tend to approach our world as though we're not in control. When in fact, if we're nervous and we're leaning back, we're setting a particular stage. If we're leaning forward and interested, we're setting a different stage. We have more control over that space than we think. And even if you don't feel confident and forward, something in your nonverbal behavior, like leaning forward, expressing interest, can do so much to just shift the energy. And so tuning into how are we showing up in person, physically, with our voices, on a phone, in an email, when we can tune into the energy that we're bringing, we can control what it feels like, make others comfortable, but also come across as confident. And in our journey of, I need to stop using that word journey, I use it a lot. In that presentation where we're presenting ourselves as confident and comfortable, we become confident. We become comfortable.
Yeah, good stuff. I was going to say the Steve Perry journey or the one that the younger guy that's,
Steve Perry all the way. Steve Perry. Old school.
Let's see. You got some more comments here. Yeah. Let's see here. Hey, Mayor John. Have a great rest of your night. Yep. 525,600 minutes.
1,600 minutes. It's a song from Rent.
Yeah, Rent. Yep.
Yep.
Hey, Dagan, how you doing? Yeah, Dagan, I apologize. I've been busy as well. My parents are having some adventures, and so I haven't got to watch everybody's shows. I'm so far behind. Old school Perry. Yeah,
Old school Perry.
That's right. Hashtag old school Perry. Yeah. So, definitely, definitely agree with Steve Perry. Yeah. So, how can I grow my channel without feeling pressured to constantly promote myself? And this is a good question for me because I am lousy at self-promotion. I am not meant to be a salesperson. So I have a merch shop and I have a newsletter and all that stuff. And I rarely talk about that stuff because I'm just like, I don't want to put myself out there in front of people and force myself. If they want something I offer, then it's there. But it's a lot of putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about YouTube specifically, when it comes to YouTube growth, the growth is in the pre-recorded content more than the live. Live is just going to grow slower. It doesn't mean it's not going to grow. It just is going to grow slower. But when it comes to getting more people to find you, if you look at the SEO, if you look at using writing your content, like you do a nice job of scheduling ahead of time so that you're giving the YouTube machine the opportunity to put the word out there a little bit for you. But especially if you're doing pre-recorded, you can lean into the algorithm of, using keywords. You should be doing that live anyway, using your keywords. And what do you name something? What is the thumbnail? And helping people who are interested in what you're talking about find you. That's promotion without feeling like you're promoting, right? So you can do that sort of thing. In marketing in general, it depends on what it is you're doing. How can you sell without selling? Instead of selling, talk to your people, serve them, help them, talk about what you are a specialist in, or in your case, bring on people that talk about what you want to talk about, because if you're interested in it, your people will be interested in it. It's about creating content that people want to hear and making it consumable. So that's where I think it is, it's always about talking to it's about not serving the algorithms, but serving the people, and through the people, the algorithm will work.
Yeah, I agree. The algorithm is the audience. It's the community. It's sure, there's a computational system there trying to do some smoke and mirrors behind the scenes, but in the end, I really think if you make good content, eventually somebody's going to find it.
I agree with that. And, so there are a couple pieces here, one of which is, it's about working with the algorithm rather than trying to fight the algorithm by working with the people that you serve. There's also a mindset piece there, getting our head around what we call sales. We're thinking that sales is bad. Is sales bad? It's not bad if one of the things I talk about with my audience, with my clients, is we want to sell to people who already want what we offer. Yeah. So it's really about building the right audience that already are interested in what you talk about, what you offer, making sure that you're focused enough that they know what that is and that they know whether or not it's for them, and then helping them find you and continuously talking to that. From a marketing and sales perspective, marketing supports sales. And if you market your business right, sales is just an automatic outcome of that marketing.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to go back and rewatch this part over and over again until it sinks into my head, because that was definitely a nugget there. So definitely, hopefully, people
what do you feel was
taking notes.
What do you feel is the nugget for you, Roy?
Well, I mean, just the biggest thing is that you're working to build what your audience wants, and so it's not, marketing is the whole providing what they want already. You're not really trying to sell them anything they didn't want already. You're trying to make it an avenue for them to get the thing from you that you offer that is going to bring value to them, and so they can buy that. So
and this wraps around to things like, what if I've got people in my audience that are being jerks and being negative? Well, they're not your audience, because you're building an audience of people who already want what you offer. So those people are self-describing themselves as not that person, so they don't matter, and it's okay to remove them. Give yourself permission to remove them, because they're not good for your community, they're not good for you, and they're not in alignment with the work that you're doing.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we'll do say hi to more folks. Yeah, classic for sure, Rent. Yep. And Dagan saying hi to Lala. So thank you so much, Suzan, for being on the show tonight. Again, I want to remind everybody, go find Suzan. She's out there. Go hit her up on her YouTube channel, and there's links to her website. If you can't remember where to find her, go to this video, and in the description I've got links to all her socials. So go find her website. And if you're interested, you want to kind of give them a blurb about what they can seek out to you for your coaching opportunities?
So I help introverted business owners learn how to market their businesses authentically, rather than pretending to be extroverts, pretending to be somebody they're not. And it's different for everyone. It's I don't know what else to say. I'm a morning person, and we're after 10 o'clock at night now. But happy, definitely if you hit me up in email, or if you say hi wherever, I will absolutely say hi back. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk about things with you. I love the one-on-one conversations, especially. That's definitely where I'm happiest. And I work with a group coaching program, and I do one-on-one, and you would be surprised at how much the people in the group coaching program have to say to each other. It's not a quiet group, which they are introverts. Absolutely. Don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking that introvert means something that it doesn't. You get to decide what it means for you.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much to everybody that came out tonight. Let's see, John. Let's see. I'm getting maybe not just what the audience wants, but what they need. Sometimes what they want is going to solve the problem. If you can teach them about what they need, problem solved. Yeah, definitely, Jackie. Thank you. That's great. Yeah. Applause. Thank you, John. And Brandon Show tonight. Thank you for the information for your friendship over the years. So yeah, definitely awesome there. I'm supposed to do this call to action thing, so let me do that real quick. Subscribe. I do this. We have a show go live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Yes, it's later than some people's bedtimes, but that's how life goes sometimes. And let's see, here's the outro part, or something like that. Where's my current outro? All right. Anyway, YouTube is going to say, watch this video right here after I move my head out of the way, and there'll be a dot to hit subscribe. So I'm looking for subscribers. I need 1,000 awesome people to like my channel. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. And that's our show. Thank you so much again, Suzan, for being on the show tonight. And we're out of here. Good night. Like, subscribe, comment. Guys. Bye. Bye.